Good morning, everyone. This is Tuesday, July 12th, the Business Improvement Area Subcommittee meeting. We are now live. We are currently waiting on quorum. We currently do not have quorum, so we will be muting our microphones, but we will be waiting to see if we do achieve quorum. Thank you. Good morning, Tracy. I don't know if you heard that. We are still waiting for quorum, so we're just going to mute right now, and we'll keep everybody posted. We'll be waiting till 8:30, okay? Good morning, Chelsea. It's Angela from the Clerk's Department. Can you hear me? Good morning, Chelsea. It's Angela from the Clerk's Department. Are you able to hear me?
Yes, I can.
Excellent. Susie, I do believe we now have quorum. We'll just double check it when you do roll call, but we looks like we have 7 members now.
Okay, great. You want me to go ahead?
Absolutely. Thank you.
So I would like to call the BIA Advisory Committee meeting to order. Members of the public are advised that our meetings are webcast live by the City of Hamilton and temporarily archived on the city's website. As well, a reminder that all electronic devices are to be switched to a non-audible function during committee meetings. I will now commence a roll call. Please indicate your presence when I call your name. Councillor Pauls? Nope. Councillor Arlene Vanderbeek, Dundas BIA.
I am here, thank you.
Jessica Myers, Barton Village BIA. Christina Geyser, Concession Street BIA.
Good morning, I'm here.
Carrie Jarvie, Downtown Hamilton BIA.
I'm here.
Bettina, Lock Street. Chelsea, Ottawa Street BIA.
I'm here.
Susan, Waterdown BIA. Tracy, Westdale, and Stony Creek.
Yes, here and Lock Street as well. Bettina's away.
Oh, and Lock Street, okay.
And just sorry, Susie, also Katie is here as well.
Okay, great.
From Ancaster.
Okay, great. Madam Clerk, are there any changes to the agenda?
No, Madam Chair, there are no changes to the agenda.
May I have a mover and seconder to approve the agenda as presented? Tracy and Christina. Is there anyone opposed? Carried. Are there any declarations of interest? And may I have a mover and seconder to approve the minutes of the June 14th, 2022 meeting as presented? Moved by Tracy, seconded by Christina. Is there anyone opposed? Carried. Kelly Barnett, Manager Response Coordination, is here to provide the committee with a verbal update on the Encampment Coordination Team Pilot Project as part of our discussion items. Welcome, Kelly.
Through the chair, good morning, and thank you for having me this morning. I did have some technical difficulties, so I'll see how it goes, but I may have to turn off my video because I don't want to lose you. Yes, encampments, a very challenging issue and not unique to Hamilton. Many municipalities are dealing with this very, very challenging issue. I'll give you a little bit of a background. So on March 31st, City Council approved the encampment coordination team to be created and a pilot project to the end of 2022. Effective April 11th, Director Marty Hazel was appointed to that position or applied to that position and was successful. And we're really happy and fortunate to have him. He's very skilled. He's been with the city a very long time. And I've worked with Marty for forever, and we are in really good shape with him at the lead. Then they hired MLE Matt Huber. He's the supervisor of the MLE officers. And then Mike Field is the senior project manager from housing. And I continue in my role to support that group. Additionally, 4 full-time temporary encampment MLE officers were hired, and they work under the direction of myself and Matt. And we are enforcing the City of Hamilton Parks bylaw, specifically sections 17 and 18, within 12 to 72 hours after we receive a complaint of encampment being in a city park. Sometimes it's sooner, depending on the situation. If there is a health and safety issue, of course, we will move them along quite rather quickly. The Parks bylaw does not allow tents, structures, or camping in a park without a permit. So we enforce this 7 days a week. So we always have officers out in the field. They both proactively and reactively enforce the bylaws. We have a team. We're very fortunate to have this encampment response team that I work with. And in partnership with, we have Housing Services Division, we have Street Focused Outreach, we have Hamilton Social Navigator, and the Hamilton Police Services Encampment Engagement Team, which is 4 officers and 1 supervisor who work with us Monday to Friday. And then the last piece of the puzzle would be our Public Works Park staff, and they provide the cleanup for the city parks, which is a very, very important step, because we find that if we can keep our parks clean, then it prevents people from coming back, or it also prevents those more entrenched encampment sites for setting up. And then we also do a proactive piece to enforcing encampments. So we have some hot spots that we have identified, and our officers go to that site sometimes daily, sometimes weekly, and then we are able to reach out to those individuals. We educate them on the parks bylaw. And the most important piece, of course, is to ensure that they have access to supports. So the first thing after educating them that they are in violation of a parks bylaw would be to reach out to our street outreach team or our social navigator team to have them attend, usually independent of us, and to see what they can do to help these individuals, offer them shelters. Some people have medical situations that they need assistance with. So they do a lot of work in that regard, and it's extremely, extremely important. So in the morning, when we meet daily, we discuss the encampment sites that we are aware of, and we talk about what barriers might be in place for individuals. We also look at the shelter options. Is there room at all the shelters for individuals who may want to go into housing or into shelters? So we discuss all of that. Weather often plays an important part in our decision making, but you know, if it's really, really rainy or if it's really, really hot, we look at all of those issues. And sometimes we have to come up with a strategy to enforce the parks bylaw. I'd say that in most situations when we're enforcing, we get voluntary compliance just at the first visit. And that's by talking to people, building relationships, and educating. And then what we do is if we can't get voluntary compliance, and outreach has been there and offered them supports, we may have to issue what's called a notice. And that notice gives them direction that they're in violation, they are trespassing, they are not allowed to be there, and it gives a time frame in which they have to leave by. And again, in most cases, we are very, very successful, even if we have to go to that step. Very, very rarely, there are times when people just won't leave for whatever reason. And that's when we have to ask our Hamilton Police Services to step in and enforce Trespass to Property Act. And they have been very, very successful in the few times that they have had to do this. And they have been able to get people to, pack up and move on without any problems whatsoever. So that's how the pilot project has been working. As we've been going forward through this pilot, we have made some program improvements. So one of the things is, way back when encampments were larger and very entrenched, one of the barriers that we identified was that people couldn't go into housing in some cases because they had too many personal items and they didn't want to leave their items behind. So we worked out a process. We found a city facility and we have it there in the event that somebody wants to put their items there temporarily until they can find other housing options. Although we put that in place, we haven't had a lot of people want to use that facility. They don't like to part with their personal belongings, and they usually have such limited stuff that they take it with them. The other thing that we did for our encampment municipal law enforcement officers is Hamilton Police Services. They offered a course for our officers, crisis intervention training. It was a very in-depth course. It was probably 5 days in total. And basically, it gave our officers a better understanding of the people that are the individuals that are unsheltered, living in encampments. They had a better understanding of the addictions, the mental health, and how to build better relationships with these people. So that training was extremely valuable for our officers. When they're out in the field, of course, they run into all kinds of situations. And one of the situations is, unfortunately, there are times when there are opioid overdoses. So we reached out to our Hamilton Public Health Services, the harm reduction team, and we had one officer from each team trained in how to deal with an overdose, and they carry the naloxone kits. They haven't had to use them to date. Normally, what we would like to do is, of course, call 911, but they are trained and they are able to use the kit should they need to intervene and save a person. We also have our seat events through the city, and we're really busy into special events right now. And the seat office sends us a list of all the events for that week. So what we've started doing is we have our municipal law enforcement officers go to these sites that week, usually the day before, to do a sweep of the area to make sure that there are no encampment sites set up before the event. And if they are, they work very quickly to get compliance, offering outreach again. And we have encountered at least one encampment site set up the day prior to a seat event, and we were able to resolve that issue quite quickly. We are working with a number of our larger stakeholders. We come to the table, for example, CN Rail. They have a lot of encampment sites on their property, which is considered private property, not city property, and enforcement takes a different lens, but they are working with us. They do want to ensure compliance of their property, including the garbage and debris that's left behind on properties after encampments. The city cleans our property, and private property owners, if there's an encampment site on their property, must clean their property. So what we're doing as we go forward and we identify areas that we can find ways to improve, we are doing that. There are still some barriers for people out there. Pets are one. People don't want to leave their pets, and I definitely understand that. So, if they can get into shelter temporarily, we're looking at what options can we do to help them support their pets. Private property, I think there's some interest in knowing how we enforce that as well. It's quite a bit different than city property. We start off the same, where municipal law enforcement receives the complaint and we will go and we will investigate. A lot of these encampments on private property are vacant buildings or vacant lands or out of the way places. So we will go, we will talk to the people, we will send in outreach or social navigator to go and offer supports. That's when the whole situation changes, because we do not have the authority to enforce Trespass to Property Act. So that's when we have discussions with Hamilton Police Services. And a lot of times we have to reach out to property owners. We have to have that conversation that it's your property. I'm not sure if you've given these people permission or not, but they're not allowed to really they're not allowed to camp on private property unless it's a designated camping ground. So then it would be up to the owner to work with Hamilton Police to give them the authority to enforce the Trespass to Property Act. And then, of course, be responsible for cleaning all the garbage and debris from the sites. Our main concern is always the health and safety of the public and those encampment unsheltered individuals. We've seen some situations where, they're using propane tanks for heating or whatever, and we want to make sure those people are safe. So at times we've had to reach out to other city departments, Hamilton Fire for advice, to make sure there's that health and safety component. So that's my little breakdown of how we're dealing with encampments during this pilot project. And at the end of the pilot project, there certainly will be an evaluation that would be going forward to council to let them know about how the pilot is going. I feel it's been very, very extremely successful. We've had encampments that have been entrenched 10 to 14 tents at a time in areas that are very dangerous for the occupants of those encampments and for city staff when we're going in to engage. And we don't have those entrenched sites anymore. And so we're moving very quickly. We're into the summer months. We're noticing a little bit of an increase in encampments out there, but we're still resolving them within the directed timeframes. So I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Okay, are there any questions for Kelly? Okay, Councillor Van Der Beek.
I have a mouse that doesn't like to do what I ask it to. Thank you, through the chair, to Kelly. So I guess what I'd like to bring up is people sleeping in doorways of stores in the BIA. Who does the BIA go to for assistance? I know where I go, but where would you direct the BIA to deal with people who camp for the night, have their little packet of stuff, however they carry it around, and just park their shopping cart, stretch out their bedroll, spread out everything else they own, and literally sleep in the doorway where a merchant couldn't even get in if they arrived early or came to their business late to, run in and pick something up they'd forgotten or go early to do some work, or how is the city assisting with that?
Through the chair, great question, Councillor Van Der Beek. It's very challenging when that situation happens. The best thing, the easiest way is to email emily@hamilton.ca. However, I'm always happy to take complaints from the BIA. And what we would do is every situation is unique. So we would need to investigate to see what that situation, what the what the actual situation is to depend on how to go forward. A lot of times it's something as simple as an officer, either MLE or Hamilton police officer or street outreach, showing up, talking to the person, finding out what's going on, offer assistance. A lot of times what's happening is they are parking there. They're parking there for the night, and then before we even get there, they're gone. They've moved along in the morning. So we're continuing to look at that, but because the city is so large, we wouldn't be able to be, we're not everywhere all the time. That's why it's helpful when somebody alerts us to the problem. So that email address is mle@hamilton.ca, and my email address is KELLY.BARNETT@hamilton.ca. And when I'm not here, it's directed, and it will give my supervisor's email address, Matt Huber. And he is also very open to taking complaints directly to the BIA. The MLE address is for the public. So we would greatly appreciate if our email addresses to the general public, because it would really slow us down, because we get, a lot of people calling in about encampments, but for BIAs, for counselors, if it can come directly to us, we're very happy to move forward with that as quickly as possible. Again, we'd like to help the people and get the encampment resolved as quickly as possible, make sure they have the supports they need in place.
Thanks, Kelly, because you touched on one of the real difficulties, which is that they get up in the morning and they wake up early, and sometimes they're still there, but other times they've disappeared. And so, when your main mandate is to promote shopping in the downtown area, having food residue, and many other things that I'd rather not get into, laying around in front of your store door every morning and not knowing how to effectively address that situation. I also hear from merchants when things like that happen that they're actually afraid. They're afraid to show up in the morning. They're afraid to go by their place at night. And as you can imagine, in downtown Dundas, in most BIA areas, they're in the middle of a community. And, it's a residential community immediately behind them. And so it's very stressful. And knowing that there's somewhere direct that you can go to, at least to alert someone with some authority that there's a situation going on, I think that's critical. And I know from my own experience that it's frustrating. It's very frustrating. Thank you, Kelly. And thank you, Madam Chair.
Kelly?
Thank you for that, through the chair. And the other thing I did want to also highlight is that at times there could be individuals who might be showing some aggressive behavior. There's also the drug issue, the substance abuse issues. A person might be in crisis. You can always call, Hamilton Police Services. And if it's not a 911 call, it could be through their non-emergency line, and just say, hey, because we don't work, municipal law enforcement doesn't work 24/7. We work long hours and we work 7 days a week. But if it's very early in the morning, they could reach out to the non-emergency line and just say there's an individual who's sleeping rough. We need somebody to come by and check on them and see if they're okay, offer assistance, and support the business as well. So that's another option that I would put out there. And I believe their non-emergency line is 905-4925. I should double check that.
You're right.
Am I right?
I'm for
Susan
6.
would-
I know it way too well.
And then of course, there's a lot of crime managers who are very aware of what's going out there in the city, and you know, they're all able to help as well. And the other thing, if you don't mind me saying, is that a lot of times we get calls for panhandling, and they're not encampments, and municipal law enforcement does not address that. If they've set up a tent in the area and they're going back and forth, we can address that. But if they're panhandling, it's really something that Hamilton Police, depending on their priorities for that day, would have to go and address.
I would like to pass the chair to Christina for a second so I can speak to it. And Kelly, I'll be speaking further to this tomorrow in our meetings more specific to downtown issues. However, I know right now, for instance, we've had an encampment at Ferguson Station for about a week now. The problem is by 8 o'clock in the morning, they've taken down their tent and there's no actual structure up to call it an encampment. When I drove in this morning, I clearly saw a tent set up, but unfortunately wasn't able to pull my car over and take a photo of that. But they've been there now for close to a week facing King Street. The businesses in the area are quite concerned. It's very messy. What do we do in that situation? Because when I do report it in, I get back basically, well, if there's no structure, it's not technically considered an encampment. And to me, that's just, not acceptable. So I'm wondering if you could speak further to that.
Through the chair. Thanks again, Susie. Another great question and a very challenging situation. So we are very aware of Ferguson Station and the issues attached to that. And we have a couple other sites that quite frankly, we struggle with in managing those sites. However, we do attend that site daily. The challenge for us is that a person or a group of people have to be using the space as a dwelling or lodging there. And some of the people at Ferguson Station do have some of their items with them. And by the time we get there, the tents are down. So we are having conversations with Hamilton Police. We are having conversations at a city level as well with not just MLE police, but our public works people, our park staff. We're all talking about how we can address these issues. So it's going to be an ongoing conversation, but I do know that bylaw is there absolutely every single day. And some of the challenges for us is that, we have to travel in pairs. We do not have our MLE officers attend a site alone. They go in pairs. And I have heard, though, that the Ferguson Station site, since we've been doing these daily proactive monitor, and police have said they are going daily as well, that it has improved. So now we have to continue to find strategies to deal with that. One of the things that we did in Ferguson Station is we capped off the electrical outlets so that they could not be used. And now we are also looking at increasing the litter pickup in that area, and the loose garbage in that area, and the power washing. And we're trying to, manage the park and show that the space is, when a space looks better, people tend to respect it a little bit more. So we're trying all these strategies, and we'll continue to meet, continue to brainstorm. I know that, it would be great to see some more programming going on at that location. So, we don't have all the answers to the problems, but we continue to have that open conversation. And we're always willing to hear ideas and suggestions from people on strategies they think that will work. And we can discuss them at a city level with police, and we continue to move forward. Things in the city all the way around have greatly improved. We do not have those large entrenched encampment sites. Right now, we are probably managing about 10 sites, 10 active sites, and about 30 unsheltered people, which is significantly lower than it has been in the past. And we will continue to find ways to help people so that they do access housing and get the supports that they need. That's a very, very important piece of the whole program.
Okay, great. I will again be speaking to this further tomorrow because I do understand all sides of this, except for unfortunately, until those people are removed, I have to continue to be the squeaky wheel, right? So, anyways, we'll discuss this further tomorrow. I'll take back the chair now. Are there any other questions or discussions for Kelly? Okay, great. So, can I get a mover and a seconder to receive the discussion? Christina and Councillor Van Der Beek. Is there anyone opposed? Carried. Okay, so now we have motions. So the Ottawa Street Business Improvement Area Expenditure Request. Chelsea, would you like to introduce your motion? You will need a seconder to your motion. I think you're on mute, Chelsea.
Sorry. Early mornings. The expenditure request from the Ottawa Street Business Improvement Area in the amount of $13,120.36 for the purchase of branded banners, office and street maintenance, street furniture maintenance, hanging basket maintenance, and hanging baskets for fall and winter to be funded from the Community Improvement Plan Contribution Program be approved, and that the expenditure request from the Ottawa Street Business Improvement Area in the amount of $16,884.50 for the cost of Christmas decor storage and maintenance, and hanging baskets for spring and summer to be funded by the Shared Parking Revenue Program to be approved. And then I was hoping Katie from Ancaster could second that for me.
Okay, great. Is there any discussion on the motion? And we'll need to vote on the motion. Is there anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you, Chelsea. And now for the concession street, Christina, would you like to introduce your motion? You will need a seconder for the motion.
Yes, Susie, thank you. My motion has been seconded by Susie Breathwaite. Okay, so the concession street BIA expenditure request, that the expenditure request for the concession street BIA in the amount of $8,283.09 for the purchase and maintenance of 2022 summer hanging baskets for the concession street to be funded from the CIP contribution program to be approved.
Is there any discussion on the motion? We'll vote on the motion now. Is there anyone opposed? Carried. Thank you, Christina.
Thank you.
General information. So commercial districts and small business verbal update. We'll now hear from Judy Lamb, the manager of commercial districts and small business, is here with an update for the committee.
Thank you, Chair. And I would like to remind everyone I didn't get the survey out to you, although I discussed it on the commercial retail vacancy. So I would like to introduce you to someone on our team, and that's Adam Durant. Adam Durant will be, has kindly offered to send out the survey to you. It's a simple spreadsheet, very simple. And I just want you not to be surprised who is this Adam. So I'd like Adam to sort of introduce himself and your role in the city, and because you're fairly new.
So through the chair, thank you, Judy, for the introduction. Good morning, everybody. My name is Adam Durant. I'm the Business Development Analyst for City of Hamilton Economic Development Division. I'm happy to be working on this project. Generally, I am mostly the numbers guy for the Economic Development team. So any opportunity I can to help support our community with a data-driven project, I'm really happy to be engaged with. As Judy said, I'll be following up on this conversation this week with an email and an attached spreadsheet to all the BIAs that will basically ask for two pieces of information. Number one will be an identification of a vacant or the status of a building in your BIA at the ground floor level, vacant, not vacant. The second will be the current tenant in there. So it's a pretty quick and painless process. We've tried to engineer it to be as respectful as time as we possibly can. So expect that email to come from myself later this week. I think that's pretty much it for me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adam. I don't know if there's any questions for Adam. No. And you know, we'll be out before 9. The other thing I just want to mention that a couple things. Let's say the first one is that I'm looking into getting the wraps, artist design wraps around some of the utility boxes. Christina, I have been working on this. So I know and I think it's only fair that I extend it to the other BIAs rather than just one that's approached me. So I have met a few times. I think transportation sounds like has a citywide project at some point. And some of it will depend on an artist's call. That will take a little more time. I'm proposing to meet with transportation and with our tourism culture group that handles the artists to see what we can get done this year. And then on the other artist call for the bigger city project, I propose to transportation if they want some input that I try to get them to cover the BIAs first before they tackle the rest of the city. So I do need to meet with them as to what is their rollout, but then I will state my preference in terms of taking care of the BIA areas first. So stay tuned. I will reach out to some of you and see if, I know when I was talking to Waterdown, they already had apparently artists wraps in terms of the artist renderings already approved. So I do need to know from transportation how they organize that, because we will have to do probably a larger artist call. The other thing I'm looking at is some artists have a limit of how many times their wraps can be used. So perhaps an easier way to get it done faster is just get an expansion of that permission from that particular artist so that we don't have to go through a complete call. Christina?
So does that mean then the original designs that were proposed with the pilot downtown, that either those have been maxed out in how often they can be used, or they're no longer available?
So the downtown ones was very limited to downtown because the fund came to do the wraps downtown came from the Downtown Public Art Reserve. So when the developers set aside that money, it is restricted to a downtown CEPA.
Oh, okay, okay.
Which
I
is
didn't realize that.
why in the other BIAs, I have to go another route, which means part of the route I'm trying to negotiate with Canadian Urban Institute to see if under my Main Street, I can spend that money in the other BIA. So, but the deadline for spending that money is December 31st. So what I'm working with tourism and culture, and I've had several meetings, is let's get together and decide what can be done before December 31st, use those funds, and then the rest of the funds for the others that will be done after December 31st would be looking at transportation's budget. And if they're short, then I can look at my budget as well.
Thank you.
Just want to let you know that it is in the works and that I've been working on that. The other thing that I think I had a discussion with one of our BIAs is to introduce the idea. Susie, I don't know if you think it's okay to mention it, but it was and asked whether people felt that you would like to change the time of the BIA advisory meetings in the future from this early morning. I think it stems back from the days when I think businesses used to attend these, and therefore they want to finish the meetings before their businesses open. Now, most of our meetings where we have staff and we have the executive directors of each PIA. So perhaps if people are open to it, we can perhaps survey all the BIAs to see if they are open to changing the meetings. And I guess we'd have to check with Angela McRae as well.
So Judy, I'll speak to that if you don't mind. So I did talk to Angela about that this morning, and I did email Carrie because she's the one that has her board meeting. So I had suggested bumping the meetings till 10:30 if that would work for her. And we can just discuss between now and the next meeting and then pass a motion at the September meeting as what Angela and I discussed, if that works for everybody. I think the consensus of the feedback I got was yes, as long as it's still in the morning, everybody's in favor of that. So.
Sorry, this is Carrie. Since I'm on my phone, it's hard to be polite. But yeah, I'm good with 10:30.
Okay, great. So Angela, do we have to wait till September to pass that, or can we
So through the chair, you can pass a motion right now if you wish. We can do it here if you want.
Okay, is everybody, if we go ahead with that, everybody comfortable with that?
So and I just need a mover and a seconder. And Susie, if you're going to move it, you're going to have to pass the chair off to someone else.
Sure, I'll pass the chair to Christina, and then I'll move to, starting in September, I guess, move our meetings to 10:30 a.m. start.
Okay, and do you have a seconder on that?
Tracy?
Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor?
Any opposed? So it looks like motion is passed.
Great.
I will pass the chair back over to Susie.
Thank you. Okay, that's great. Yay. Okay, here, sorry, Judy, carry on.
Oh, no, I'm happy to. And I'm just about, I think, what was I gonna say? That's it for this week. I just want to let you know in September, we do have a complete streets. That was one of the requests by our BIAs to hear what that complete streets, that went to council just recently. And I think that will, I just want to remind the BIAs that if you have other topics that you would like to hear about, that just please email me anytime and I will add it onto the agenda. And that's it for me.
Okay, great. Can I have a mover and a seconder to receive the update? Katie and Chelsea? Is there any opposed? And carried. So now I would like to invite the BIA members to provide us with updates, and I'll go in alphabetical order. So Councillor Vanderbeek, if you would like to start and give us a brief update.
Sure. So the Downtown Dundas BIA's office has moved as of yesterday. We still have our space where we were until the end of the month, but we've moved, I would say 99% of our things over, and we have taken a non-retail spot. So for many years, the location in Dundas was right on the main street and was actually a former store. So one of our aims was to free that store up for more retail. So we're quite pleased about that, and we have a bit of a lineup in place now. This Saturday, the 16th of July, we will be participating with the city in the summer concert series on Saturday. We have two bands coming, and they will be playing, I think it's one in, oh goodness, let me remember here. I think it's 12. Anyway, we've added to it. So the festivities in the BIA and Dundas are going to start about 11:30 and go till 3. And we are planning a few things for the rest of the summer, and really looking forward to upping the game at promoting shopping in the downtown core. And I think that's generally it. We've been busy, but quiet. I have a question for all of you. We have, as many of you do, the poster board in our BIA. We have 2 of them. Can you tell me, does anyone have any tricks about getting all that gunge off of it? the tape, I cleared a huge pile off of each of them the other evening, because I don't think that we have ever had an organized way to deal with those. So I am wondering if anyone has any pearls of wisdom for me, or if Judy knows of anyone in the city who looks after those in any way. If you could email me, I'd be grateful. My email is just my name, arlene.vanderbeek@hamilton.ca, or you can use info@downtowndundas.bia.ca. But anyway, anyone has those pearls of wisdom, I'd be grateful. Thanks.
Okay, great. Now I'd like to move on to Katie from Ancaster BIA.
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Just a quick update in Ancaster. So we just wrapped up our Canada Day event last weekend. It was great. We had great attendance. People were really happy to be back at this annual event. So there was lots of positive feedback. We did fireworks and live music, and we also had the summer concert series come and join us. So they were really fantastic, a great team to work with. We heard lots of great feedback again from the people attending. So we were just really happy to have them in Ancaster this year. Our farmers market is also well underway for the season, so we're also seeing good attendance there, and people are really happy to be back at St. John's on the Green for the season. Other than that, we're sort of finalizing plans, marketing and events for fall holiday, and just starting the process of hiring a contract for the ED role here in Ancaster as I prepare to go on mat leave in the fall. And that's it.
Okay, great. And now on to Jessica from Barton Village.
Hi, everybody. What's going on here? Well, lots going on tomorrow, actually. We have a day-long event being hosted by the BIA and Urban Strategies. It's a sort of a design charrette that we're really excited about. It's we're going to start off with a walking tour and then heading over to the Westinghouse, and Urban Strategies is going to kind of divide everybody up into sort of round table discussions. And it's more or less going to just bring all the neighborhood stakeholders together and get everybody on board with, hopefully a future vision for our streetscape or just some inspiration, more or less. So we were very thankful that Urban Strategies has decided to do this pro bono for us, which is great. So that's coming up. We also have our Movies in the Park series. It sort of was kicked off at the Barton Village Festival, and we're going to have one for July, August, and September. So just trying to get that in order. We recently were successful in hiring somebody with the Canada Summer Jobs. I don't know how everyone else was doing with that and if they applied, but I was having a difficult time trying to find people to fill the role. We had 3 positions and I was only able to fill 1, but she's great. Her name's Alicia and she's hit the ground running. So yeah, that's more or less what's on the forefront right now.
Okay, great. Now we'll move to Christina from Concession.
Hey everybody. So this Saturday, we are continuing with our summer music series, Sidewalk Sounds continues. We've bumped up to 5 different music performers performing at different times at different locations, and really happy to say that coming off of the success of Street Fest, where we did not invite outside vendors into the street, our businesses seem to have been excited by the prospect of having this be their show. So I'm hearing more and more that there's going to be more guerrilla marketing and businesses setting up outside for our Sidewalk Sounds, which I think the more that we can get things set up outside, the public kind of sees something that's different and exciting and just kind of starts a whole snowball effect of attracting more people. So we're really excited about that. Of course, Sidewalk Sounds is happening in collaboration with Book Crawl. So those will run, Sidewalk Sounds will run until September, and Book Crawl, of course, runs year-round on the same Saturday. We are working for a new mural. We're working with Clear Eyes Collective that's going to be doing a project on a blank wall at 402 Concession Street. And we're also going to be freshening up our Indigenous mural because a little bit of the primer splatter that ended up in the alleyway, he actually expanded his mural, his Indigenous flowers kind of did like a floral path. And because it's on a flat surface, it's kind of worn off a little bit. So he's going to be freshening that up this summer. And then, of course, we've got our Hamilton Summer Concert Series happening in August. And just a quick update on some new businesses. We have a new healthy cafe that's going to be opening up east of Upper Sherman. Renovations are well underway. So they're going to be doing rice bowls and tacos and things like that. And then also a Wow Pop Chicken is going to be opening up in the former spot of Jerusalem Pita. Dollarama is set to open for August the 1st, which the community is very excited about. And of course, our biggest project, the Town Hall cool food court thing that's being developed at the former Medina supermarket location, that is on track to open for this summer 2022. So lots of exciting stuff happening.
Okay, great. And so we'll move on to Carrie from the Downtown Hamilton BIA.
All right, good morning, guys. So in Hamilton right now, we're having downtown. We're excited about Gore Park Summer Promenade. It's going until September 1st, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, with live local bands from noon to 2. We've had two really great business openings. We have a new hair studio and barber shop on John called Rhythm Hair, and we have a new BIPOC-focused retail shop called Art Collective on James. And we are getting ready, already planning for Halloween to bring back the Halloween spectacular. So that's it for me.
Okay, great. And I will just quickly pass the chair to Christina so I can do my update. So we have a few businesses that have moved in. Super Vape at 195 King. And Then You is an inclusive dance lounge that's opened on Main. Absinthe is moving back into our area, which we're very excited about, back to its original roots. And we met with the new owners. They seem fantastic. Our Haven Studios is another dance studio that's moved into Maine. And we have a new art gallery called Neo Romances that's moved into 171 King. On June 18th, we did our Shop the Village, which included the summer concert series. We had Darth Vader come out. The businesses set up some sidewalk sales, and it was just a really fun event. And I did want to take an opportunity to thank Sarah Emke and all her staff and Judy for helping us with that summer concert series. It really has added a massive benefit to the BIAs, and I'm really hoping it's something that the city will continue doing in future years because it was really helpful to us this year. Our next event is September 10th. We are doing another Shop the Village. We'll be doing some giveaways of bags and coupons. And we're very excited because hopefully that day, fingers crossed, we'll be unveiling two huge projects we've been working on this year as well. So lots happening down here in the village. I will take the chair back from Christina and we'll move on to Chelsea from Ottawa Street.
Good morning. So we also have our summer concert series, which is Friday, July 15th from 7 to 9. So quite excited about that, especially after hearing all the good feedback. We had a new shop open at 211 Ottawa Street North called Nerdcore, where they sell, I guess, a bunch of nerdy merchandise and just cool products. We had the recycling pilot program kick off. So now Ottawa Street has these really nice recycling containers that match our garbage containers all along Ottawa Street, and they've actually been working really well, and they look really great. We've got the next big event would be September. It will be our sidewalk sale, and yeah, that's about it right now for Ottawa Street.
Okay, great. And I think last but not least is Tracy speaking to Westdale, Stony Creek, and Lock Street.
Good morning, everybody. So I guess I'll go in alphabetical order. Lock Street, we have our first Sundays Unlocked this Sunday, so looking forward to it. Hope the weather's good. And that summer concert series will be a part of that. And we've added a bunch more music and artisans and so on.
I think you froze up there a bit, Tracy.
Am I good now?
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good. Sorry. Okay. And we have a couple new businesses that are coming in, which is great. So there are basically no vacancies on Lock. The last one just got filled with a couple stores opening soon. In Stony Creek, we've got live music all throughout the summer, and our summer concert series plugs into one of those in August. Our farmers market is going well, and we have some construction coming, some property that was owned by some long-term, actually our former chair and vice chair is now soon to be developed. So we're just rearranging a couple businesses and they still want to stay in the BIA, which is great. So over the next couple of years, we'll see construction and condos and more activity coming. So that's good to see. And in Westdale, we have our Westdale live music every weekend from June all the way to October. So people really love live music, and it's good to hear that you guys are enjoying it in the other areas. Our farmers market is going well, and have our little events. We had Arts Fest, and then we're doing Arts West in August, and a bunch of other events throughout the year. And we have a new ice cream shop that opened. A couple other spots are under renos, but they're already rented out. So in Westdale as well, we have no vacancies, which is excellent. And that's about it. Thank you.
Okay, great. I think that's everybody. So may I have a mover and seconder to receive the statements? So Tracy and Christina, is there any opposed? And carried. Okay, I guess that's it. So may I have a mover and seconder for adjournment? Tracy and Katie. And I guess we're not meeting in August, so have a great summer, everyone. And we'll see you at 10:30 a.m. in September, which I'm pretty excited about after 12 years of early meetings. So
Thank you, everyone.